A new 3-minute trailer has dropped for Pokemon Legends ZA, and we're going to go over every single thing that I think you might have missed in this trailer. There are 60 plus things that you may have missed here, and I'm really excited to kind of see if maybe you picked up on some of them. Maybe I missed some. You guys can let me know about that in the comments section below, but we have just a lot of things, you know, kind of just packed into this trailer, and things that I think that you guys need to know about. So make sure you guys like and subscribe here at Haus before we get any deeper. And I will say I just wrote an article on this. You can check it out over at the Game House, where I go through all of these different things as well. But I thought a video would be, you know, sufficient as well. I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through what I am seeing here from the start, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So let's get started here. I'm going to do this actually without sound, by the way, as well. So just instantly, right at the very beginning, you can see the Pikachu tails, or at least the electric symbol right there on the different seats that are here. You also get a little bit, I'm going to just try to use, I'm going to use my space bar for this to make it easier. You also have some sort of graffiti, or at least maybe some sort of logo or something on the back here. We don't really know what it means. Obviously, it's in the weird Pokemon language, but interesting to note. Also, look, this is on the Nintendo Switch 2. Really, really nice steel, like chrome, whatever you want to call it there. I kind of love it. It just looks good. The game looks much better. There are parts that are not great, but for the most part, and you guys are going to see here in just a minute, look at this, right? All of this beautiful open world scenery. We're really getting to see the outside of Lumiose here for the first time as the train goes in. It looks really good, and there's a chance that it'll be more fleshed out either later in the game or with the DLCs. Spoiler alert on that, by the way. We'll talk about that in a little bit, that are coming to this game. You know, and I think that this potentially, by the way, is, I believe, either the first thing that we're going to see in the game, or it might be the second, because you had like that, you know, in Legends Arceus, you had the thing where you named your character, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if they're going to have you do that, you know, after this cutscene or before it, but I believe that this may be the opening scene to Pokemon Legends ZA. Again, yeah, some of the trees in the Blades of Grass could use some help here, but for the most part, we get to see Prism Tower from the outside. Now, then we are walking here. Our new character is walking, and you can see a Staryu, I believe that is. I couldn't tell for sure, but this is a Pokemon somewhere on the back here. These look like maps. Even the doors are freaking Pokeballs, which is awesome, on the train. And then, obviously, like they're going to show here, I think, in a second. Yeah, I mean, tell me this character does not look like Professor Sycamore. There are rumors that Professor Sycamore is our aunt or uncle or some form of a relative for us. And I mean, it's just, even the outfit is just screaming, you know, Professor Sycamore in some sort of way. Then, you know, you get the opening with the flyover. You can see right over here, just making sure you guys can't see that. 1 second. I'm just realizing that now. I have this a little too, how do I get this done here? 1 second, guys. Gonna make it so that you can actually see these things a little bit better. Glad I got this now instead of later. All right, we're back. But you can see over here as well, right? The like little teleporters. They'll get you up onto the top of the rooftops. They don't have any Pokemon here. There's also, you can see like Pokeballs on the what are those called? The grates, right? Or the storm. The sewer caps, right? All that kind of stuff, right? And then the windows are still a little bit bland. This is kind of confirming there's not much texture to these non-important buildings, but to these important buildings, which you see now right here, right? There are some pretty, you know, noticeable things. So you got this Pokeball on the top of it. I think that this awning here is either a cafe or it may just be some other important building that we go into. We know that the Pokemon Center and Pokemart are still the same thing, so it's not like this is a Pokemart of any type. You can see that you can go on the inside, by the way, over here as well. It's just a really good look at all of Lumiose City. You've got the taxis down the middle. You've got these interesting palm trees on the right side here as well, which is something that's a little surprising. You know, when you walk out of the building, there's another building. Looks like you could go inside. So, you know, at least the lower areas for even some of these more basic buildings, looks like you'll be able to go inside at least some of them. You got another potential cafe over here as well. I'm seeing even more that I don't even have on this freaking article because I'm rewatching this for the third time or fourth time, something like that. And then you can also see that there's still a wall around Prism Tower, by the way, as well. We don't know exactly what's going on with like the different, you know, renovations around Lumiose, but the fact that the Prism Tower is pretty much cut off to us from the very start is probably important for us to note, because as a reminder, there was a gym there. Now there is no gym there. Okay, we move on here, see, and this is why I think that this might be the opening, is because they're doing the little, you know, drive-by, like, you know, Talonflame with the Game Freak logo. All right, what's interesting here is, so we're going to see a couple things. One, you have Greninja. First time we have seen the Kalos starters in any form or capacity is going to be right here up in this top right corner. Making sure again that you guys can see that. Okay, sorry. Which is, I'm surprised that it's taken us this long. We're almost exactly a month out from the release of the game, and we're just now seeing the Kalos starters. Here are the ZA starters for us. What is interesting is that we've seen ourselves walking out of the train station. It feels like it may be a little bit later into the game, maybe even just a few minutes, but generally these flags are showing like where you are at, you know, like which section of the city that you're in, because if you look at the map, right, they're like, it's like, you know, a pink, a red, a green, a purple, and maybe a yellow, I can't remember, but there's like 5 different areas, and this green one is signified by the green flag, so it seems like you may meet them a little bit later in the game. Nothing really going on back here, just a lot of people, which I think is good for us to see that. Again, more of the Greninja, a little lock-in on them, and then, you know, it does confirm as well that it's potentially either when we go back to, or I don't know, maybe this is a different gate, but it looks like the train is back there, so I'm just confused on exactly where we're going to meet these Pokemon, but it might be not like at the very beginning of the game. So then this is the Switch 2 edition. It's kind of just confirming that. This is an all-new area. We've seen this from the top. I thought that maybe, honestly, that these were going to be like those different arches that you see in Japan with the like the woodwork and stuff. That's really cool outside of like a lot of sacred areas. I think they're sacred areas. I apologize if that's wrong. But it looks like these are actually just, this is the electric part, the generator part of the city. You've got an Aron, a Larian, an Emolga, and a Helioptile for the very first time here. So an interesting little area that it looks like there will at least be some steel and electric Pokemon that we're going to be getting confirmed here. You also have these mounds. So we're seeing Chespin for the first time, which is awesome. Don't want to take away from that. But we see these mounds, and we're going to see them later in these areas. We'll talk about that in a second. The grass still looks Pokemon-esque. It's not terrible, honestly, but it's just, you know, at least it's got more color and, you know, than just like one sheet of color, which is nice. We see Fennekin here. We got a little Eevee back there. This 2-star cafe we're going to see again later. Now, I don't know if it's a cafe for sure. I shouldn't say that. But I'm wondering if it's like, if the cafes are for battling again, which, again, we'll talk about in a little bit. There is the possibility that they're going to be like easier or harder based on their star rating. So that is something that we'll have to kind of watch for. You can see this behind Fennekin. I'm also wondering if maybe we're going to have, similar to what we did with Legends Arceus, the starters in the wild. You know, again, we saw the Chespin out there. We see the Fennekin. You may say, well, the Fennekin's not in the wild. Well, based on what we see later in the trailer, it's very possible that it is. The Froakie's on top of that obelisk in the different plaza. So that's pretty good. Then here is a huge scene. Massive, big, Very short, but very important scene. We've got Klefki and Inkay. I will say that. You can see the Noibat back there and the little Pat Rats running around here. This is potentially the Catacombs, or at least a minimum the sewers. One of the big complaints that I had was, how is this map going to be able to be big enough if we're just on the ground and just on the top layer? Because while the map is relatively big in terms of, like, if you use every available space, which by being able to go up top, like, you will be able to, but there are officially, technically if you want to call it, 4 layers to this game, right? So you'll have your ground level. We know that. There are buildings that you can go in. You could technically count that as a second layer if you wanted to. And what I mean by that is, right, like, I think I'm showing you guys here, right? So you got that ground level. Then even like right above here, even though it's technically surface level for a lot of these buildings, when you go in them, right, it's because you have that upper level, you technically kind of have like 3 levels there because you can go inside so you can see even more, right, of the game. But now that we have that lower area, depending on how big these sewers or catacombs are, it adds a whole new amount of space for Pokemon Legends ZA. Where these wild zones are going to be, where we can find more wild Pokemon, potentially new gangs, potentially new, ZA Royale zones for us to be battling in. This is such a huge reveal right here. They probably don't even realize how many of us, because I think Pokemon really kind of does block out fan interference in some ways. They try to just make the game the way that they think they need to, which can be good or bad, but like, this just adds such an extra layer, such an extra amount of depth to the game. I cannot express how important this feels. Even if it's only a relatively small portion of the game. Maybe it's not that there are catacombs under all of it. It still adds some new area for us to explore, and it makes that map that, again, is just in one city feel much bigger. Also, this little box here may not be important, may just be a button, may just be design, may just be an electrical box, I don't know, but could be something to watch for in the future. We get the flag for our little group here. We got Tawny or Urbane, I forget which one. Then we got Naveen here as well, with the Mega Bracelet on him, which is important. Then we have Lita with her bracelet on her as well. I don't know if this like X or star looking Staryu type pillows there on purpose, but you can still see the Staryu on her shirt there. And then obviously on Naveen, we'll see the Scrafty on the back of his as well. Now this is interesting. So you see her Staryu out here. It's using, I don't know exactly what move that is. Looks like it might be a psychic or an ice move maybe. I guess technically it could be water. I don't know. It's interesting because you have the little gemstones like kind of around it. So I don't know. What is important though is, and that may be important to some people, I just couldn't figure out exactly what it was. But this big detail right here, this confirms that at some point you'll battle her, which we probably assumed. And then, our Pokemon are level 45, by the way. So I don't really know why she still has a Staryu when we're that deep into the game. Regardless, she has 4 Pokemon with her, and Staryu is clearly her ace. We already knew that, but then in this battle, at least you can kind of anticipate that being the case. Nothing really new here. We have seen this scene before, so nothing too crazy. You got AZ looking up at the Prism Tower, I would assume is what he's looking at. I also had this translated. Nothing really. It's just like, let's go out on or you're going to be a great member of the team or something like that is essentially what she says here, because I've not been able to find the English version of this yet, by the way. So keep that in mind. This is just on the Japanese Twitter account that I've been able to find this so far. Here we've got, I think, an interesting scene. Let me make sure. Oh, yeah, Camerupt was shown as well for the first time. I forgot about that. Let me see here. And then here we go. Yeah, so potential wild Pokemon. So you have the Flabebe and the Pancham here. Now, it's pretty obvious the Espeon is with this trainer. It looks to me, and this is early on in the game, by the way, so you have some construction going on, all that kind of stuff. And maybe that's where maybe the windows will get better as you develop the town more. But it looks like that Pancham is kind of just walking around and potentially available for us to catch. We will have to see, but it doesn't seem like that is entirely impossible. I also love like the older style look of the map. I wonder if that will change as we develop more areas as well. Then we head to Wild Zone 7. Not the first time that we've seen this one, but you have these like, so you see Audino, you see Hippopotas for the first time as well. Still a pretty early area, right? You still have Chikorita here. You still have, now again, they're not showing the official Mega Evolutions for the final, for the starters in ZA yet. So not a huge surprise that we're literally only seeing, the first evolutions of them, of these starters. But still, this is that obelisk that I believe that Froakie was on. You can see the little question mark up here for the first time, by the way. The noticing and everything of wild Pokemon, which is not a surprise, but, just seeing it, I think, in that area is really nice. You have the brambles, which, by the way, like you can see that our character is targeting with our Pokemon. So I don't know what comes out of those when you break them. They don't really show that here, but that is something to note, that there will be those things in this area. And then it looks like potentially, by the way, so you can see this platform here, right? It looks like for us to, because it's going to do another jumping, thing with the Rotom phone. It looks like there may be designated areas for us to do this with. Whereas instead of it just being like, if there's an available rooftop, you can just jump to it. It might be that, like, to get from certain rooftops to certain rooftops, you're going to have to jump off these platforms. You can also see the Rust Syndicate, like they're building over here, which is interesting. Another big, interesting building over here that I hadn't noticed before, but I don't know if that's going to matter or not. I guess we'll have to see. Could be important. Right, then right under this Pidgeotto, we have this newer looking icon, at least one that I haven't seen before. Maybe this is just like a building that you can jump to. I don't know. It seems like it'd be something that's on the ground level, considering, we've got like the different places to buy things, right? And it looks like there are multiple of them. So maybe it's just that this is like it's definitely not a wild area. I don't really know exactly what it is. This is probably like the teleporter that takes you to the top of the buildings, I would assume. And you're obviously jumping from that last scene over here. And I think this is probably Area 7, Wild Zone 7. So trying to think if there's anything else of interest. But that's really about it for right now. Then we get more outfit changes here. I'll just kind of go through those. It's just quick. You can see you can change the hair color. It almost looks like there's like a gradient amount of hair color that you can change. Also, this potentially looks like the museum that I believe was in Lumiose City in the game before, so we will have to watch out for that. But here's a big one. This fletchling is not just a part of the, like, I don't know, the background or anything. Like, you can actively catch a Pokemon that's just sitting up here on a lamppost. And that's why I was talking about that Pamchan and Flabebe. Like, even if you're not in the wild zone, because you can see it's very obvious, it looks like you'll just be able to catch Pokemon out in the wild whenever you want to. Absolutely insane. Vinny and Jet. Vinny and the Jets. Okay, anyway, sorry. But this, like, map of Lumiose City, we are seeing this for the first time. Or, well, maybe not the first time. Maybe they did show it in another trailer. This is the first time I'm noticing it. And then this is from the first trailer, right? So that when they did, like, the flyby with the, was it the Fletchinder? I think it might have been the Fletchinder. And then they, like, did, like, a zoom out of the whole, Lumiose City. This is what was shown behind you. So, Quasartico is really interesting. I can't tell if they're going to be good or bad yet. It feels like maybe they might just be like kind of neutral where they're acting on their own. And sometimes it'll be good things. Sometimes it'll be bad. But ultimately, I guess we will have to see. Nothing really here with Emma and her Esper. I tried to look up here and I couldn't find much, to be honest with you. But we know most of her story is going to be around the Rogue Mega Evolutions. Now, this is a big deal. So I translated what Mabel said, and it's going to make a lot more sense for what's coming next. She is saying wild Pokemon have started to gather and a wild zone has been established. Does this mean that we will unlock wild zones as we go on through the game, as we level up, as we complete quests, all that kind of stuff. This has been something that's been on my mind that I've talked about in different videos. I think that this pretty much confirms that in my mind, because then in this next scene, right, we see like an area with all these shops and all these people and their Pokemon are walking around, but then boom, new area that has a wild zone now that looks like these mounds I was talking about, you know, with the Chespin that, you know, these are under construction, or like they're just mounds that are being made for this new road. You know, you've got the Numel, the Sandile, the Machop. I believe that's the first time we're seeing Machop, by the way, as well. You can see in the background, right, some really big construction around this area as well. So maybe just a lot more of these areas, like, as we go through the game. I can't see what, like, number that is for which wild zone it is until later at 8. So I think this one is 8, I would have to think, since they're keeping us for the Numel here. And what's interesting is like, we'll talk about these arrows here in a second. Also, construction guy in the background, so maybe this area is still under construction, and it just kind of takes time as you go through the game. The Binnacle being shown here for the first time, I believe, as well. Or, no, definitely not the first time. First time in battle, at least. But he uses a water move, obviously quadruple effective against the Numel. And if you see, right, these arrows change, okay, to, I believe, indicate how easy it is for you to catch a Pokemon, right? So when you're, like, look at this, we're literally 1 minute in. 2 arrows right now, you can probably throw a Pokeball at it, maybe catch it. Now, it's been knocked out, it's fainted. It's gonna throw the Pokeball. Premier Ball's back, by the way, for sure. Boom, you catch the Numel. So I believe that that is going to be a really big portion of the game, is, you know, when can you actually catch these Pokemon? For the most part, I don't see why you wouldn't just knock out every Pokemon you want to catch and then catch it, but I guess to each their own. If maybe you're just worried that your Pokemon's going to get, you know, knocked out itself, so you try to go catch it instead. Another area where you can go up, little trash cans with the Pokeball. You can see, obviously, up here, the pink design of the Furfrou. Pyroar, which, you know, may be alluding to something. I'm not going to fully spoil things for people. Another thing here that I saw is on this bridge right here. We got the Aurorus for the first time. So this is a fossil Pokemon from this area, right? You can still see, by the way, the wild zone here in the background. But the Aurorus is interesting to me because we have not seen the other fossil Pokemon yet. Does this mean that we will be able to catch them? How is that going to work? Maybe it's going to be with Mabel, maybe with somebody else, but yeah, interesting to say the least. We got this zone over here. You can see there's some construction going on over here as well. Same little trailer opening for the ZA Royale that we've seen before. New one, couple things. The door's down here. Now, I don't think that might be the waterway down here, like closer to this side, because you can see, obviously, we're going up here. This is also where we go up when they do the Mega Absol battle, I think, at least. And this looks like it's the edge of the city. That's one of the arches, I think, as well. But this door may be to how we get to the Undercroft area, the Catacombs, the sewers. Very, I think, important and interesting parts there. Then you have the Hex Maniac. I believe that's what she is called, but she is the one who's like, you know, you're not the one, or you are the one, or whatever. And we saw her in the Mega Victory Bell, you know, trailer as well. But you can see that we battle her. At least I think that's her, guys. Don't kill me if it's not, but I think that that is possibly her as well. So then, you know, you've got your battles here, you know, level 30 to her 31. She has 2 Pokemon. One of them Shuppet. You get the jumping from behind. And then the ZA Battle Club. So this is the multiplayer mode, by the way. And this is very controversial. You can see, again, this 2-star cafe, I would assume, or restaurant. We're getting to see Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja for the first time, which is awesome, with, you know, new outfits for everybody, of course. Now, you can see as well all of the different, and you'll see this as we kind of go throughout, right? You can play anybody from anywhere around the world. This is a new map, by the way, for the Battle Club, for the ZA, you know, Battle Club or whatever. And you can see, right, like, all the names, all the moves, everything, they're going to be localized, So, you know, I believe that's Japanese. And then you have English down here after we had, might have been some form of Latin, like, I don't know, a romantic language of some kind. I don't know exactly which one, I'm sorry. You see the moves being used, right? Then we get the Mega Evolutions. There's Absol. Delphox looking down pretty coolly. Pretty cool, in my opinion, down to their Mega Bracelets. And now all three of them are going to Mega Evolve. So here's Mega Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja. So Mega Chestnut with the awesome spear, the shields that we had known about. Now, I don't know. There was supposed to be another shield over here, but it's got like its cloak as well. Like the beard, I don't know, fluff, fur, whatever, under it has gotten bigger as well. Then we see Delphox, which I think is probably one of the coolest ones. It's on a broom, and it has two brooms on the side of it, using those psychic powers as well. By the way, we're battling outside of Quasartico. And then you've got the Greninja, which is, you know, got a shuriken, a water shuriken that it is standing on. I still would have loved for this thing to be upright, but the upside down looks fine. I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite. And then see here, look, it's got the shield this time. Don't know what that means. There's some bad news, by the way, with these, that apparently they are going to be locked behind, like technically paid for to get the Mega Stones. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now we've got Dragonite. So Rogue Dragonite for the first time, by the way. We get Mega Camerupt and Mega Banette, I believe, for the very first time as well. Mega Banette at level 41, which is interesting. Mega Camerupt at 34. So there's like a lot of Rogue Mega Pokemon in this game. It may be like most, if not all of them, by the way. Nothing too crazy here. Oh, and then Mega Dragonite, excuse me, Rogue Mega Dragonite, by the way, at 59. So we're going pretty deep into the game for some of these. We get to see the three new Mega Evolutions that we have seen most recently in the last few weeks. Hawlucha, Victory Bell, and Malamar that was just revealed as well. We get another look at another angle from Wild Zone 2, which we haven't seen in a while. Nothing too crazy here. Most of these Pokemon, so these four now have Mega Evolutions. There's rumors that Dragalgage will have one as well. I'm not hearing anything about Dedenne, but some people are saying maybe that means that. This is inside of the cafe. You can see people eating here. There's a battle going on. This is an Abomasnow. An Abomasnow, excuse me. And what you can see here, right, is it looks like it's a 3v1 against the Abomasnow. I don't know why, and then they're showing just these three ghost Pokemon, which is interesting. Don't know why again, but pretty cool. And it looks like there are people cheering in the background. So, you know, are they bringing back those different battle modes that we saw in Pokemon Black and White, or is this just going to be something else? I don't really know, but this is a pretty big deal, I think, personally. You can see the main characters, the main cast here, as that energy that we've seen with all the Rogue Mega Pokemon is on Prism Tower. Pretty big deal there, in my opinion. You see more of the Rust Syndicate. Then you lead to this. So, right, if we have the Rust Syndicate as their own thing, then you have these other groups. Are we essentially getting gyms? Like, are these gangs, these syndicates, are they like seriously going to be gym leaders essentially? That would be amazing. This game would basically be like, I guess, a slightly smaller version of Scarlet and Violet, where you have multiple of these quests. You're taking out the, you know, the wild Pokemon, similar to what you did with, you know, like the bigger versions of like Cloth and everything, right? And then you have these gym battles or these different groups like, you know, the Star, Team Star battles or something like that. Like, or maybe these will be more comparable to gyms. But either way, like, that's really cool that they're adding it. And I'm intrigued to see what these other groups are going to be like, because we have not seen any of them yet. There's Black and White, and then, which could be cool, like maybe Unova connection there. And then I don't know what this one would be, but I love it either way. Very cool. Big scene here as well. We already knew that, you know, Emma had a Mega Evolution. It looks like Tawny or Urbane will. I'm assuming it's going to be the other starter. the one that you're either best against or worse against, based on whichever one you pick. Then we have confirmation for sure that Naveen, that Lita are all going to have megas. And then for some reason, they're showing Vinny. Now, Vinny, on his head here, you can even see it in the top, has Baneri and Pancham. Almost certain that he is going to have Lopunny as his. Mega Starmie for her, we're thinking, and Mega Scrafty for him. No idea with that. And then I think Emma just has Mega Lucaria based on what we've seen on the box art. So pretty cool stuff there. They show Mega Ampharos. Love me some Ampharos. Here's mine, by the way, in case if you're wondering. Even on my phone, I even have a graded card here with Ampharos on it. So big fan of Ampharos. But you see it attack. Then we get Charizard X and Y. We get Mega Gallade, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Mawile, Mega Sableye here. Then we get pretty much all the rest of them. Pidgeot, Manectric, Metagross. I'm not going to name them all. You guys can see all of them. And the rest of them, pretty much, as well. So, and then we see the Mega Starters in action. Really cool here, using Water Shuriken, actually throwing it. And then again, like, Prism Tower looking like it's about to explode with Mega Energy. And we see the Zygarde 10% form with the Floette here, ready to do battle with our characters, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but our character and Urbane or Tawny. And then we have an interesting energy that flows to, the 10% form. I don't know if that's us collecting, the little cells and then giving that to it, or if it's just showing off for the first time, or maybe it was, going into that 100% form. Or I guess 50% form. Yeah, it would be 50% then 100%. So kind of crazy stuff there. And that's just about it. We have a little bit more. So you can get these mega evolutions. You can get, the Greninjite, the Delphoxite, and the Chestnutite. I don't know. Whatever they're going to name them. But you're going to be able to get these through the battle, the ZA Battle Club. So people are not upset or not happy about this, because this means you're going to have Nintendo Online. They're basically ranked rewards. I don't know if it's going to be for how many battles you play, what rank you are, all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be through online. They are really pushing this Battle Club mode. I'm interested to see if this is going to become a major part of Pokemon moving forward. But like these types of battles. But what I do know is that I understand people's frustration. It's pretty cheap. Like, I know that people don't want to hear that. I think it's only a couple bucks a month. And I really do mean a couple. I think it's like $7 a month for like the lowest level. So I don't love them logging it behind that as well. But I don't know. I mean, it's a cool reward. Maybe they will have it be that after a certain period of time, you can, get all of these mega evolutions, once it's like a month in or something like that. Or maybe once the DLC comes out a couple months later, which we still have to see here. But I know maybe it's just because I'm an adult, maybe with my own money to use. Like, this is not a big deal for me. I already have Pokemon Online. Or not Pokemon Online, Nintendo Online. So it doesn't feel good. I'm not going to disagree with that whatsoever, and there may be people who don't love this mode. I think that's more the thing that bothers me than the actual needing of Nintendo Online for it, is that, this is really tough for people to have to get, especially if it's not something just like play a couple battles or, get these very easy to get requests. So I don't know. We will have to see. Last bit here that we're going to see in just a second. I don't know what's taking it so long. There we go. So we know the Gardevoir, right, and everything. I'm skipping forward just a little bit there. We know the Pokeball. But here's the big thing at the end. Mega Raichu X and Mega Raichu Y. That is correct, with Hoopa. This has already been shown in English, but this is going to be the first DLC, Mega Dimension, which is, according to what they've already released and what I've seen on Twitter as well from some of the big Pokemon accounts, is that this is a whole new story. There's even an image out where you will literally go through the Hoopa Dimension hoops into a different Lumiose city. I don't know if it's going to be completely different or how that's all going to work, but these new Mega Pokemon will be out. It's going to be a $30 DLC. The rumor is that this will come out in December, and the interesting, or I guess best part about this is a lot of people are speculating that they're doing all of this because they have a big announcement, which I think is going to be Gen 10, that is going to be coming out with the next Pokemon Presents, which will be in February, and that's why they did all this for the Nintendo Direct. So a lot of stuff, like over 60 things that you guys may have missed that maybe you just needed some extra details on, or maybe you guys caught it, maybe I missed some things. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. But this is absolutely outstanding. I am so excited for this game. We're just a month away, and I can't wait as they continue to reveal more. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.